The 2020 GT4 European Series, 2 races at its final round of the season. It started in the end of July at Imola, went to Misano, then on to the Nürburgring, Zandvoort, Spa-Francorchamps, and now here at Paul Ricard. It's a beautiful autumnal morning. Track temperature, though, still low, only 10 degrees. It comes and goes according to light cloud, but it's going to be very tricky for grip early in this, the first of 2 one-hour races. And we'll have a Toyota Supra on pole position for CMR. Antoine Potti, car number 66, coming around to the grid, putting in a really, really good run in the first of 2 qualifying sessions. We've got a second race for the GT4s tomorrow, but it's been a great season so far. Of course, the COVID pandemic caused the season to be shunted backwards through the year, but we've got the full array of races through this season. 19 cars coming out to play for this, the final round, and congratulations to all the teams and drivers who managed to make it happen for the championship organisers. And again, GT4, it runs alongside GT3, less powerful, less highly developed cars, but really, really great racing provided. In fact, these cars can be quite tricky to drive. Far smaller wings, far less downforce. And quite a few drivers compete in both categories, so they can come to a circuit and have 2 very different experiences indeed. But here we are, almost the middle of November, still racing, but this is the final round, the 6th and final round. And still having cars joining the championship. SRO Motorsports turned up with a pair of Aston Martin Vantages to add to the mix. Fabulous scenes at this circuit on the high plateau above Toulon, above the French Riviera, and even a slight heat haze as we look at the rear of the grid as the cars go down to assemble in their positions. And it's a Toyota on that pole position alongside a car that's been up and down the order, NM Racing's Mercedes. So look out for that. Really strong lineup. Luc Ibanez will be starting that one in this all-Spanish pairing. And it must be said, this classic circuit, 50 years old this year, Paul Ricard, it was as though from outer space when it landed in 1970, taking levels of safety just to a new standard. But since it's been revitalised some 15, 20 years ago, and now a heavily used circuit, it was missed. And certainly the challenge of the Mistral Straight at the back of the circuit, going up to Signes, one of the toughest corners on the world racing scene, flat out in top gear, certainly tests the drivers. So pole position, the side away from the pit wall. The first corner turns to the left, turn 1, as the cars start dropping down the slope, and the corner is known as Verrières, or in the heat of action, known as turn 1. Slight descent there from the grid, you can see under those 2 bridges going over the circuit to the spectator areas. It drops away. Of course, no spectators, but we are able to go racing, and we hope for 2021 the fans will be back at the circuits all over again. But what's important for everybody with racing blood in their veins, we are still racing at the end of 2020. That in itself hasn't been a triumph, it's been many, many triumphs. Overall leaders, just to reiterate, 2 races here this weekend. It's Valentin Hasclo and Theo Nouet leading the way in the overall title race. The grid's fairly busy down there, and we may pop down to get some interviews shortly, but certainly a busy place to be. And just mentioning Theo Nouet, he's starting from 6th place. But let's go down to the car that's second on the grid. It's NM Racing, and let's hear from Xavier Chauveras.
Xavier, you're on the front row, starting in 2nd position. You were telling me just before that the car is so-so. Are you confident coming into this race?
Yeah, as always, we have a really good driver couple. We are both really strong. This is our best thing of the car, but yeah, the car is quite good on the corners, missing a little bit on the straights, but I think we can do a really good job, especially in the second stint. We hope there's a high degradation, and we will see what happens.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Gemma catching up there with Javier Chauveras. His teammate Luc Ibanez, fellow Spaniard, will be starting that NM Racing team Mercedes. Nice to see here. Xavier there just mentioning it would go well in the second stint. That's the stint that he's taking the car over for, but it's good to be confident in your abilities. Back on the second row, SRT Esteban Moot, car number 31. These are all silver class drivers at the front of the field, but we go back to the third row will get the top of the AM runners, who's ahead of all the Pro-Am runners. That's Markus Lundstrass. We'll get to him in a minute, but that's the fourth place car on the grid. SRT Salazar Racing Team, the yellow and black Mercedes. The car in third was the Chevrolet Camaro of Jo Rapanga. That was the metallic blue one. But the car on pole, car number 66, is similar to the car number 8. They're both Toyota Supras from CMR, and Stefan Lemeret will be starting in fifth position. So he's got a good line of sight down to that first corner. Belgian national colours on his helmet. And then joining the championship this weekend are Motorsport, bringing a pair of Aston Martin Vantages. In fact, it's the best placed Aston Martin Vantage on the grid. So really good job from German racer Markus Lundstrass to put that car so far up the order. He's sharing with Danish racer Henrik Pedersen. Theo Nue, this is he's starting the championship leading car down in 7th position. Wouldn't want to be that far back. And another new team to the championship this weekend, Team Jouffroy by Vic Team. Olivier Jouffroy at the wheel of that Mercedes. He will be starting from 8th as the top Pro-Am runner. Jean-Luc Bobelic, ACA ASP, car number 87. This car will be starting the second race from pole position because his teammate Jim Pla, super fast as always. But for Jean-Luc Bobelic, long-time teammate, he'll be starting in the middle of the pack. Alongside him, Cem Bolokbazi, one of the two Borusan Automotive Motorsport BMWs from Turkey. They've been strong supporters of the championship over the years. And their second car, you can see it on the right-hand side of the grid, bringing up the rear, Fatih Ayan. But now in beautiful autumnal weather conditions, the grid is set for the first of 2 races for the GT4 European Series. And their second race will come this afternoon. They'll be packing up their trucks and leaving the circuit, but not without 2 races. 1 hour apiece. Great mix of cars at the front. Toyota, Mercedes, Chevrolet, Mercedes, Toyota, Aston Martin, top BMW, as we mentioned, Cem Bolokbazi, and the best Porsche, Jan Kasperlik, running in the Pro-Am class for Allied Racing. And I believe there's good news around that Allied Racing are planning to step up to compete in the GT World Challenge in GT3 next year. So it's not just the drivers who develop their acts in GT4 and look to moving up the charts, up the performance charts, but the teams as well. So certainly great news indeed as they look to see what they can do at higher level. So Antoine Potti on pole in the CMR Toyota Supra alongside Yuke Ivaniev, NM Racing Team Mercedes. Track conditions cool. Jo Rapanga, V8 Racing, Camaro and Esteban Muth in the Mercedes alongside. Then Stefan Lemeret and Markus Lundstrass, Toyota and Aston Martin on row 3. Row 4, Theo Nue, championship leader for AGS events with Aston Martin. Olivier Jouffroy alongside in his Mercedes. Jean-Luc Bobelic, ACA ASP team, look for that to move up the order when Jim Pla takes it over in the second half of the race. And the top BMW, Cem Bolokbazi, they form row 5. Row 6, Thierry Vermeulen and Jan Kasperlik. Kasperlik in the best place of the Porsches, down in 12th position. Then Seb Perez, British racer, and Gilles Vannelet, another driver with huge GT experience. And Perez, new to this championship this weekend. Autolando Sport, such supporters with their Porsches. Giuseppe Gezzi and Fabien Baul for AGS events in their second Aston Martin. Then the final row, the second Autolando Sport, Porsche, Dario Cerati and Fatih Ayan bringing up the rear. 18 cars coming out to play. And just to go through the Pro-Am classes being led at the moment by Jan Kasperlik, we mentioned him, he's starting down in 12th, and Bastien Boos, and Nicolas Gomer and Gilles Vannelet, they lead the AM class. Have a tidy lead over Bob Herbert in that category. Track conditions warming all the time. There was almost mist over the circuit this morning, very cool indeed. It is the middle of November. Drivers really needed to stay off the curbs. It took a while for the black stuff, the stuff that heats up fastest, the track, to dry out. The curbs took longer with the paint upon them, and many a spin early this morning in practice sessions across, pretty much all of the championships. But now with the day getting warmer and warmer, Conditions look very good indeed, but going around to the grid, the drivers are fully aware they need to get heat into their tyres. They're going to need it because the sweep down through Verrières, the first corner, turns 1 and 2, very tricky indeed. Then they get down to the downhill chicane, turns 3, 4 and 5, and that was where the track was absolutely at its most slippery early this morning. Drivers very sensibly, as per the rules, getting into their 2x2 formation as they come towards the completion of the lap. The grandstand's unfortunately empty to have this race meeting happening. It couldn't happen with spectators, unfortunately, but for 2021 we can't wait to have them back. So this is the first of 2 races, the final round of the 2020 GT4 European Series. Will it be Antoine Potti leading into the first corner or Luc Ibanez? Well, let's find out. Toyota versus Mercedes. And as the lights go green, a real charge from Stéphane Lemeray in the second of those Toyotas. He's trying to see if he can squeeze up, but he's been edged out. It looks so the Camaro goes into second place. So Antoine Potti leads from Europang. NM Racing started in, a few drivers not quite getting it on the circuit through turn 1 as it fed into turn 2, but the moves being made. The second of those Toyotas trying to go up, got a bit of bodywork rubbing off Stéphane Lemeray's car at the rear. But NM Racing started second, fell back to third, but they've got back ahead of the Camaro. But this is allowing the race leader, started from pole position, Antoine Potti, young racer, to really start making his mark. If he can make an escape so nobody can get into his slipstream up that long Mistral straight, then that will be a very, very successful opening lap for him. Yeah, no one quite close enough. The Luc Ibanez Mercedes hoping he can catch a toe, just not close enough to do so. And look, a really good run up the straight already from the second of those Toyota Supras. And wow, Ibanez loses that second place. Rapanga goes back into position. But our race leader escaping the second. Toyota getting closer and closer. Stéphane Lemeray, even with that rubbing bodywork, he goes past the, well, good acceleration out of the chicane that's being used midway up the Mistral straight. But unfortunately for him, well, he's going to have to go on the outside line at that fearsome corner scene. Doesn't quite dare do it on the way in, runs very wide on the exit. And the Aston Martin with Markus Lundstrass taking a look as well. Welcome to the championship, our motorsport. But all along, our race leader, Antoine Potti, stretching his advantage at the head of the field. Really good start from him for pole position. Making it pay. Personally really lost out was Esteban Muth, started 4th for Celestar Racing Team, but his black and yellow Mercedes falling down the order just when he didn't want it to be. Potti pulling clear. Ooh, more and more place changes. The V8 Racing Camaro being picked off left, right and centre, unfortunately. And Theo Nue, championship leader, looks so he's picking his way up the order. Yes, he's up into 3rd position. There he is with the green flashes on his black and white AGS events Aston Martin. So just got to keep on finishing ahead. Theo Nue had an advantage of 20, let's do the maths, 24 points. It's 20, and that is very useful. So he's just got to keep an eye on his title rivals. Lemeray and Castelli. At the moment, Lemeray running around in 5th place, but they're second in the championship. So what Theo Nue needed to do was get ahead. That's what he's done, but Lemeray trying his hardest to fight back, and certainly Europang getting a little bit loose in the Camaro. That's allowing the top 2 cars to make their break, but Theo Nue has been very, very effective indeed to get up into 3rd, but back to 4th, because Europanga, there are points on the circuit where the Camaro has so much punch. What we're seeing on this lap, though, is Luc Ibanez is catching the race leader, only by small margins, but once he gets into the toe for NM Racing, it could be very useful indeed. Now, potential fly in the ointment for the number 8 Toyota, the championship challenging car of Stéphane Lemeray, is the Esteban Muth, who lost 3 positions at the start, if not more, is now fighting back. You can see the yellow nose of the Celestar Racing Team Mercedes, 4th in that line of cars. He's got Markus Lundstrass in behind. No, he hasn't, because Lundstrass has just been overtaken by Cem Bolok-Bazi. Very good exit for the BMW out of the chicane. Oh, track limits, who needs them? Well, certainly some of those drivers need them, as they go very wide indeed over the painted lines at the edge of the circuit at Senior. Certainly the officials will be taking a look at that. You're supposed to have at least 2 wheels on the side of the circuit. Let's look at the driver classification in the championship. Overall honours. But I can tell you, it's before the start of the race, it's Théo Nouet and Haas-Clos who are 172 points, 148 Castelli and Lemeray, Piana and Schouten who are missing this weekend on 1, 2, 3. So it's a two-horse battle in the championship, and they can very much see where they are. They're separated by half a car length. That's in the Silver Cup class. Drivers being really pretty tidy through that final corner of the lap, through Virage Pont, over the bridge into the circuit. But it's still Antoine Potti, led away from pole position, never been bettered. He's to the good by 0.8 of a second over Luc Ibanez. Don't forget, this is a two-driver race, and it's about having a really good balanced pairing. Little boards at the side of the circuit getting given a bit of a hit there. Is there a bit of bodywork? There's a bit of something trailing under the 22 Porsche there. That's Jan Kasperlik, Allied Racing Porsche. Don't know if it's his own bodywork just hanging down on the front left corner, or if he's got one of those little marker boards wedged underneath. Those little flaps they put at the exit of the corners. Not sure it'll help either way. So in fact, he's now coming under pressure from Gilles Vannelet in the second of the AGS events. Aston Martin's car number 89, who looks like he's got the speed. Now he's got to find the space. Esteban Moot really starting to look very busy indeed in 6th place in the number 31 Mercedes. Oh, this isn't good news for Lemeray as he's challenged at the chicane. He's having to block that Mercedes and all along. Yeah, that bodywork still flapping away. That was knocked out of True on the first corner of this race. Don't think at the back of the car it's affecting him too much, but now what we're really seeing is the pace of Semboluk Basi. Look at him in that aquamarine BMW. He's gained, I'd say, 2 positions in 2 laps, and he's got 2 more cars right in front of him. Oh, the back of that pack, the driver in, Bobelik, I think, went very, very wide indeed. He's rejoined the circuit, but that was at senior. There's out beyond, and there's beyond, and he was in the latter territory. Now, Esteban Moot, what can he do? 31 Mercedes in 6th place, all over Stéphane Lemeray. And Lemeray, who's the outside hope for the championship, wants to get on to the tail of the car in front of him, but he's got to look in his mirrors as much as he's attacking. He's all over the tail of Théo Nouet, but one little slip, and Lemeray in 5th place will no longer be there because Esteban Moot recovering, trying to pick his way past. But perhaps, just perhaps, the biggest challenger is going to be that aquamarine number 12 BMW. Semboluk Basi started down in 10th position, and he's been really picking his way up the order. Here's another place coming his way. No, not quite. Didn't get past Moot. Moot holding off Semboluk Basi at the moment. So it's Toyota from Mercedes, from Chevrolet, from Aston Martin. Great manufactured variety at the front of the field, but those first 2 have got clear. Half a second between them, then another nearly 3 seconds back to Jo Rapanga, but he has got nearly 3 seconds over Théo Nouet in this battle, the battle we're looking at now. Nouet in 4th, Lemeray in 5th, Moot in 6th, Semboluk Basi in 7th, and Marcus Lundstras trying to close in the top placed Aston Martin. SRO Motorsport, he's just in the background of the shot. His car also sort of pretty much aquamarine and mid-blue. There it is in the background behind the blue BMW. The chicane halfway up the Mistral Straight does offer a little bit of potential, but in many ways it offers more of a potential for a mistake than an overtaking manoeuvre, but the driver behind would benefit from a mistake. So it could yet have a role to play. But if your car is well balanced, you can get the power down early on the exit of that chicane, then you should be able to ward off all challenges on that run, continuing up the hill to Scene and beyond. In the pits, the respective teammates of Théo Nouet, that's Valentin Haas-Clos and Stéphane Lemeray. He'll be handing over to Gaël Castelli. They'll be studying the screens, trying to see where there's a bit of a weakness. And in fact, Théo Nouet, just going through the penultimate corner, made a little bit of a slip and a slide there, so maybe not getting the grip he wants. That will offer some form of encouragement, at least to Stéphane Lemeray and his forthcoming teammate, Gaël Castelli. Still very close at the front. In fact, he's come down. Luc Ibanez is closed in. He's gained 0.2 of a second on the last lap. Now he's right on the tail of the poleman, Antoine Poty. Don't forget, Ibanez's car went back to third place, almost back to fourth in the opening lap of the race, but he's fought his way past the V8 Racing Camaro. And he's hunted down 1/10 of a second here, 1/10 of a second there, and he's getting closer and closer. But now at least he could benefit from a slipstream when they get onto the Mistral Straight, providing he makes a good enough exit from L'École, turn 7 of the lap. Great rumble from the Camaro, still a wonderful sound. That V8 Racing, I gather they're adding more cars to their stable up in Holland, up in the Netherlands. Certainly, first requirement, something with 8 cylinders under the hood. Really quite an advantage now for the leading duo. Their teammates will be very pleased indeed. Antoine Poty, car number 66. He shares the CMR Supra with Timothée Bouret. Will be very pleased indeed. Luc Ibanez. Well, let's have a look at the points. Valentin Haclo and Thierry Nue, 184 points. There's that tiny advantage over Gaël Castelli and Stéphane Lemeray. They're together on the track. As they stand, this is not as before the race. And that should give them a championship, because there are 25 points to play for, if they stay out as they are. Javier Oliveras and will be looking to gain a few more points. He's not listed with his teammate because teammate who we heard from on the grid, who's driving at the moment, Luc Ibanez, he didn't compete in the last round of the championship that they attended. That was at Spa-Francorchamps, supporting the Spa 24 Hours. But these are our championship challengers. And at the moment, with that Aston Martin staying where it is, doesn't matter if it's first, it's the fact it's in front of the car behind, which is Stéphane Lemeray in the CMR Toyota, who now has just got a tiny advantage over Esteban Wood, and maybe now he can really start to attack the Aston Martin. Haven't yet quite worked out who tagged the tail of that number 8 Toyota Supra, but that opening first couple of corners was a little bit busy indeed. But not for our race leader in the sister car, Antoine Poty. He started with pole. He's not been challenged yet at the front. He's only 1/3 of a second good, so he's far from out of the woods. Here is that lead battle, 0-1, flashing on the windscreen of our race leader, but that Toyota, Poty at the wheel, being pushed very, very hard indeed by Ibanez. Let's take a look at the start of the race all over again. So here, who hit the Toyota? My money is on the Aston Martin that's starting in behind. That is the car he's fighting with in the championship. And there he goes. They'd hardly even got over the start-finish line after the lights on the gantry went green. And that was Thierry Nue, who went very, very wide indeed. That's completely off the circuit. I don't know if there would be any comment about that from the officials, but he made that move past his championship rival before the first corner, having given it a cheeky little rub. Yes, you can see the bodywork already hanging off the second of those Supras before they'd got as far as turn 2. So there is the proof we were looking for. Brilliant start from third up to second from the from the V8 Racing Camaro, and then immediately fought back. The NM Racing Mercedes make its way back into second place. Great little battle. It might be over 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th, but Nue, Lemeray, Moot and Pollock-Quasi almost nose to tail as they go up the second half of the Mistral Straight. Obviously, if we didn't have the chicane, you get a far bigger tow if you effectively went onto the Mistral Straight at L'École and didn't come off the power until you got through this corner, through Signes. Oh, now suddenly we're starting to look at Lemeray really harrying Thierry Nue, but Thierry not offering any gap at all at the moment. The nose of that Supra to be put into. Just looking to see, we've seen a couple of twitches just at this, going out of the penultimate corner into the final corner from Thierry Nue, but now he seems to have a bit more grip. Those tyres warming up on his Aston Martin, so he's looking a little more confident with it, but all along they're falling further away from Europango. 2.6 seconds is their deficit now. And then suddenly Esteban Muth, he makes a move, he pounces, and he goes past Lemeray just as one looks one way, he looks the other. He's been coming for a while. I thought he wasn't going to be able to manage it because he had about 5 laps sitting in this very similar position, but now he's got through. That's great news from Nue, terrible news for the second Toyota driver, for Stéphane Lemeray. Don't forget that Esteban in 5th place, qualified ahead of both of these, so he's got the superior pace. He just lost ground on the opening lap of the race in that run through turns 1 and 2. Should be able, if he can get past Tio Nue, to go on his way, but Tio's had a lot of pressure so far, and he's been quite happy sitting there. All he wants to do is make sure he's in front of the number 8 Toyota. All Stefan Lemeray wants to do to keep this championship battle open is to move on past. He's got to move on past. 3/4 of an hour remaining in this race. First to second still covered by next to nothing. Half a second on the start-finish line at the chicane. Halfway up the Mistral Straight, it seems to have come down to less than that. Let's see how they accelerate away. Yeah, Toyota's very handy on acceleration out of that chicane, and then the grunt of the Mercedes comes into play, close enough to catch a slipstream up towards Senior. Just starting to sense that, in fact, as these two fight over the lead of the race, the V8 Racing Camaro may be edging just marginally closer. No, that's my imagination. Maybe a 1/10 of a second. But this is the battle. 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th, and Lemeray going very wide indeed. Bollock Barzi all over the tail of that Camaro, of the Supra. Let's have a look at how Lemeray lost that 5th position right towards the end of the lap. And it happened going into the final corner. Just as I was talking about the Aston Martin being a little bit loose there, but not this time. It was the Supra that got a little loose, and that was a fabulous, almost sort of, didn't pre-plan it. It was almost, he thought, well, I'm going up the inside, come what may, and there was a much bigger inside for Muth to go for, and he filled that place very, very well indeed. Now, Tio Nue is experiencing what Stefan Lemeray has experienced before him, the pace of Esteban Muth. Salazar Racing Team, Mercedes, right on the tail, travelling with a little bit more momentum down the start-finish straight, but Tio Nue isn't in the lead of the championship for nothing. He's not leaving the door open. Down into turn 1 they go. Turn 1 very quickly, followed by turn 2, the track snapping to the right. And the other Supra, our race leader, now bouncing over the curbs in the hands of Antoine Porty. There's this gap. Well, we've got two battles in which we've got Toyotas fighting Mercedes. The battle in the lead of the race, though, is CMR Classic and Modern Racing ahead of NM Racing Team, the Spanish crew of the driver at the wheel at the moment, Luke Ibanez and Javier Loveras. They took a win the opening race of the second round at Misano. They also won the opening race of round 3 at the Nürburgring. Will they make it a hat trick here at Paul Ricard? Up to the chicane they go, halfway up the Mistral Straight. And again, when you watch this little battle, just look. Slightly superior acceleration from the Supra. Sister car now has got a challenge, a serious challenge, but he's got the inside lines in the second part of the chicane. The BMW's not coming past yet. Cemboluk Barski, Turkish racer. Oh, he's got a bit more speed out of the chicane. We saw this early in the race when he was picking off positions. Is Lemeray going to lose another position? It's vital for him that he doesn't, but the good news for him is that at least Esteban Much has picked off the driver he's trying to chase. Tio Nue now back into what would be 5th position. Esteban Muth said he had the speed, he's made it work, as has the BMW. So it's all change all the time in this battle between 4th and 7th places. Lemeray trying to fight his way back, but really... Oh, suddenly Tio Nue has made a mistake. He's not just lost ground to the BMW, but the Supra's gone through as well. What's the problem? Was there a mishap there? A mistake from the Aston Martin. Didn't see what happened. He'd just been passed by Esteban Muth, but suddenly to lose 2 more places, 3 places in 1 lap. Is there something untoward with that AGS Events Aston Martin? Down the inside, though, he goes. He's clawed one of those places back. Immediately goes past Stefan Lemeray. He's back where he needs to be. He's back in front of the Toyota. Esteban Muth and the Aquamarine BMW of Cemboluk Barzi. They did seem faster than the pair fighting over the championship. They've not only caught them, they've passed them. And now it's Tio Nue in 6th position, and 7th place is championship rival, the outside championship home, Stefan Lemeray, all over his tail. Just can't get my foot, or my finger indeed, on what went wrong for the Aston Martin on that lap. Shed 3 positions, gained 1 of them back, but importantly still in front of his championship rival. The races in the GT4 European Series are an hour long, so the pit window should be open in 6 minutes time. 25 minutes into the race through to 35 minutes, then the pit window will be slammed shut. So Esteban Mut running wide, in behind in this replay. Theo Nue still in that 5th position. The BMW has just got past the Supra. The Aston Martin Theo Nue still in front. They go all the way through Beausset, and then I still can't really gauge what exactly went wrong for the Aston Martin. Maybe a temporary mechanical glitch of some sort, but just lost pace, and nothing dramatic, but just lost those 2 positions. Up front, Antoine Potty covering a lot of ground and taking a different line in his challenge. Luc Ibanez swinging a little bit wide, but Potty gaining experience all the time. He's still only 17 years old. Was in first time he sat in a single-seater was 2 years ago, so he's really been blooded early on, but it does seem he's a natural for the GT racing world. Leading this race, Luc Ibanez in behind. So, driver classification in the Pro-Am Cup as they stand at the moment. Bastien Boos and Jan Kasperlik. Don't forget, we thought there was some loose bodywork under Kasperlik's car, leading the championship, but Bolok Bazi and Yagi's getting still an outside title tilt there, only between those pairs. Kasperlik just needs to keep on going in that class. Keep it clean, keep it tidy. But Bolok Bazi is a long distance ahead, so they'll be certainly reducing that. But the second half of the race, we've certainly seen Bastien Boos being very, very quick this year, the Dane. Well, whatever little bit of bodywork was hanging off the front left corner of the 22 Allied racing car is no longer there, which is good news. I know it's something hanging down front right now, so maybe it's a splitter has dropped down a little bit. That won't be helping the handling of the car at all. In fact, that's why Jan Kasperlik is last in class. And his pace, lap pace, is 3.5 seconds down on the top car in the Pro-Am class, which is Cem Bolok Bazi, that car. That's the sister car, that's the second of the Borusan Automotive cars, but the number 12 in the hands of Cem Bolok Bazi leads Pro-Am in 5th overall. He's 3.5 seconds a lap faster than Allied Racing. It's Porsche at the moment. Theo Nue far from finish. Stefan Leveray equally far from finish, trying to look into the chicane. Oh, twitch, late braking, but no gain at all. Both of them right on the limit, sliding it through the second half of the chicane. Stefan Leveray senses the performance is really going away from that AGS Events Aston Martin, and Markus Lundstras is now starting to catch them. He was some distance back, second of those Aston Martins. The aquamarine and blue one is getting in on the act. For Theo Nue, it can't happen soon enough because he needs something to stop Stefan Lemeray attacking, but Lemeray needs no further invitation between Seine and Beausset. He gets past, and Lundstras, such is the way that Nue's performance is dropping away, he's going to dive past as well. Lights are flashing, lose position, about to gain position again when they get to Ben D'Or, but Theo Nue does not go up the inside. It seems as though he can't wait to get to the pit window opening in another 2.5 minutes and come in and hand over to teammate Valentin Hasclot. Markus Lundstras tucked in behind, looking menacing. Now, someone who I reckon was getting a bit closer earlier on is the driver in 3rd place. At one point he was 5 seconds in arrears of the fighting lead duo of Potty and Ibanez, and now Yorapang is just 2.7 seconds down in 3rd position. He's coming good. Esteban Muth totally safe in 4th place. He's nearly 1.7 seconds ahead of Cem Bolok Bazi. And then comes this battle. Stefan Leveray in 6th, Theo Nue hanging on in 7th, and Markus Lundstras looking very, very busy indeed in 8th place. Second of those Aston Martins closing right in, and he's got company in behind. He's got Olivier Jouffret, the team Jouffroy by Vic Team Mercedes in behind, and Gilles Vannelet right on their tail as well. A second AGS Events Aston Martin. It's November, we're at Paul Ricard, the sun is shining for this, the penultimate race and the final round of the GT4 European Series. It will all be concluded by this evening. Second race coming late this afternoon when the temperatures will be dropping again. As it is November, the sun is shining, but certainly the temperature gradient is steep at this late time of the year. Nue losing ground to Stéphane Lemeray, so Lemeray will be pleased with this stint. He had to get ahead of his championship rival. He has. There's only about a second between them, but now Nue being pushed very hard on a bit of the track that really seems a problem with him. He doesn't like this run out of Senior. Up to the next corner to Beausset they go, but he's covered an attack from the number 18 Aston Martin from Markus Lundstras, and again out of Beausset, not looking that positive, and then into Bendor, the very next corner. Théo Nue seems to pick up the pace again, seems to be a little happier. Something about Senior he doesn't seem to like, and that allows those behind to close right in, which they have done. First to second, still covered by under half a second. Europang, I just want to see his interval. So now he's 3 seconds down. In fact, what's happened is Luc Ibanez in second place. There's our race leader car, 66, Antoine Potti, but Luc Ibanez found about 0.15 of a second. They are taking slightly different lines because Ibanez is experimenting. Pit window, by the way, now open. It stays open for 10 minutes. On senses, Antoine Potti will stay out as long as he can. He's got Timothée Bouret waiting in the pits, and likewise, Luc Ibanez will hand over to Javier Loveras. And Javier was saying he reckons they'll have a very good second half of the race. The bit that he will be driving, well, let's see if he's telling an accurate story. We'll find out very soon indeed. But right now, the front runners are extending their time around this lap. Who's going to blink first? Out of turn 7 they go. Lecole onto the Mistral straight. Still Antoine Potter. He's led every metre of this race from pole position. Covers off the inside line as they get up towards the chicane, hoping to provide no tow at all. Being just 0.4 of a second down, Ibanez gained some form of tow, but that was a really good entry to the Mistral straight there by our race leader. Did everything he could to just shave away the advantage that the chaser might have by gaining a tow. So Théo Nue has lost that position. Bad news for him. Markus Lundstras, the first half of the lap, has got through. That's good news for Lemeray. Maybe the championship is swinging a little bit in his direction in the second of those CMR Toyota Supras. Now got 2 places between where he is in the field and his championship rival. And for Théo Nue, one senses he'll probably be coming in this time around to hand over to his fellow championship leader, his teammate, Sir Valentin Hasclot. Will either of the first 2 cars dive the pits? The answer is absolutely so. Luc Ibanez comes in. First opportunity he could do so. First time the pit lane was open when he was passing pit in. So he'll hand over the car from second to Javier Loveras. And now, for once, Antoine Potti can attack in the lead of the race with nobody on his tail. Stéphane Lemeray dives into the pits in the background. Théo Nue doesn't do what I expected. I thought he'd come in as soon as he could. He's been having a difficult end to his stint, but he stays out for, well, at least one further lap in the AGS events Aston Martin. So Antoine Potti out, given a helping hand. 17-year-old climbs out and is replaced by Timothée Bouret, fellow French racer. Certainly these Toyota Supras looked very good when they were introduced in GT4 racing last year and have really picked up the pace in 2020. All seems nice and measured. Potti continuing on his way. Of course, that driver change in the CMR pit was the sister car. Stéphane Lemeray, Gareth Castelli on board. Sorry, I misidentified. Of course, it was the car from second place, the NM Racing Mercedes, that came in to be handed over to Javier Loveras. Still saying Lem on the windscreen, but by the time that number 8 Supra gets to the exit of the pit lane, it'll say CAS for Castelli. 3 Aston Martins in a row. Theo Nue, Marcus Lundstras, and the second of those AGS events Aston Martins. That is Gilles Vannelet, who's closed in very nicely indeed. Thank you over the last few laps. Will our race leader come in? No, Antoine Potty continues to press on. The 17-year-old really getting the hammer down, enjoying not having the NM Racing Mercedes on his tail. He can do this lap and the next one. I wouldn't advise doing any further laps because he will need to come in. Theo Nue has brought it in. So this is the championship leading car, tidy championship buffer. Into the pit lane he comes. Valentin Hasclo will be waiting to take it over. 27 comes to a halt. Hasclo is already there, quickly doing his role. Open door, help driver pop belts. Theo Nue out, and Valentin slides his way in. Not always easy. So of the cars that have yet to pit, it's Antoine Potty leading the race by nearly 10 seconds now from Esteban Mout. He's stayed out in the Celislao Racing Team number 31 Mercedes. And Cemboluk Bazi leading Pro-Am up into 3rd place overall. He's had a really good charge, starting from 10. Obviously gained positions to some of those ahead of him pitted, but he'd already picked off about 5 places out on the circuit. So great run from the Turkish star. Waiting, the lollipop is held. It seems like an age, but there's a minimum pit stop time. Go too soon and you really throw your race out of the window. You'll pick up a time and penalty. 27 rumbles down the pit lane, sloping pit lane towards the exit. But still our race leader, Antoine Potty, pushing on very hard indeed. Not effectively in the championship battle. They've had great speed. Potty and teammate Timothy Murray, but not the results this year, next year perhaps. But today they want to really add to the end of their season in style. Potty going on for one further lap. Valentin Hasclo out onto the circuit, immediately pressing hard. Fabulous rumbling engine note on the Aston Martin. And after those pit stops, Gael Castelli in behind, so worked well for Aston Martin with that pit stop sequence. I say that Toyota Supra just looked so light on its wheels. Antoine Potty in the pits now, everybody in the pits. They could have waited a little longer. In fact, nobody's decided to push it right to the nth degree. Just couldn't quite risk getting around in time to get into pit in. They've done one more lap. A few more cars just coming in at the rear of the pack. Orlando Sports Porsche being pushed up Mistral Straight towards Senior. And it's the NM Racing Mercedes pushing very hard. Javier Oliveras, and he's put in a really good first flyer in that. Where's he going to be? Is he going to be ahead of the CMR number 66 Supra when that's completed its pit stop? 66 still at the standstill. The door is closed. Timothy Beret almost given the signal to go. And round the final few corners of the lap comes Javier Oliveras, pressing on. Has he done enough, or were those extra laps for the 66 Toyota good enough? It can't leave yet. Now it can, but of course the pit lane speed limit will make him slow as he goes. Now coming up into the penultimate corner goes Tour, it's called. The next one is Virage Dupont. Round the corner goes the NM Racing Mercedes, but I think the Toyota's going to just about be in front. We can't see the Mercedes yet. It'll come over the brow of the hill any moment now. Of course, at full racing speed, he's done enough, surely. Silveras will be in the lead of the race as the Toyota comes out looking to driver's left, and he'll go, oh, I can see in front of me, he should be behind me. So it didn't work, the sequence of leaving Potty out for as long as they did, and certainly it worked very nicely indeed for NM Racing. No wonder Javier Oliveras was so confident on the grid before. He said the second half of the race would be good. That's the bit he's doing. He's in front. He's now just got to defend that lead for the next 26 minutes. And don't forget, this is a car that's already won twice this year. They know what it is to win. And both of those wins have come in the first races of the meetings. So it's a format where they really feel that it works well for them. If they get a third win, it would be their third win in the first race of a 2-race meeting. Advantage looks to be about 2 and a bit seconds, 2, possibly even 3 seconds. And what's happened is the V8 Racing Camaro is much, much closer. It was third place before the pit stops, but now with Timon Nabur at the wheel, it's right on the tail of the 66 Supra. Timothy Beret given little time to focus on getting up to speed. Camaro not quite close enough to try the flashing of the lights to distract Beret as he really gets a feel for what level of grip there is. And it's cool here at Paul Ricard. But then again, it's the middle of November. So easy to forget that this season, because of the COVID pandemic, has been shunted backwards, compressed, not starting until high summer. Of course, that meant where we normally end in early autumn, we're ending at the tail end of autumn now. First 3 just about in shot together, but there's an advantage of, I think, 2.5, 3 seconds. But the real driver pushing hard is Timon Nabur, V8 Racing Camaro. Great sounding, great looking car. No wins on the board. In fact, their best finish, a second place in the second of the 2 races at Misano. And it must be said that here they could be heading for another second place if they can get past that Toyota Supra. Kenneth Hire has taken over the 31 Salazar Racing team. Mercedes in 4th place. Well, it was running 4th before the pit stops. Here are our top 3. Javier Veras, what's the gap? 4.7 seconds. It's gone out through the second half of that lap. Timothy Beret, half a second, just less of Timon Nabur. And will it be, yeah, there we are, 4th place. Kenneth Hire, car number 31, in behind, a lap ahead of the Autolando Sport. Porsche, top Pro-Am car in 5th place. There, Yagis Geddy and Valentin Hadclo and his championship rival, Gael Castelli. They can see each other, but unfortunately for the Toyota crew, the Aston Martin is ahead. So that will stretch their championship advantage. Still 1 race to run this afternoon. Entirely different looking cars. The sit up and beg, the taller figure of the BMW with the lower, more sports car-like body shape of the Aston Martin in behind. Valentin Hadclo has been very, very quick since he took over from Tio Nue. Expect him to pick off the BMW. That really looks the way that battle's going. Well, the car that's leading the race is car number 15, the NM Racing Team Mercedes. Let's hear from Luc Ibanez down in the pits.
Luke, I think you can safely say now that your pit stop strategy has paid off. The race is not over, but it's certainly where you want to be.
At the moment, the strategy was good. We are P1. We had a little problems in the start with so difficult in the first corner, but I was going to Toyota to battle and wait to the pit stop and go to the strategy, and now we are going P1 and we will win or not.
Xavier was very confident prior to the race as well.
Yes, so difficult.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So slightly nervous laughter there from Luc Ibanez. He did a really, really good job chasing Antoine Pozzi in the first half of the race. He pitted earlier, and that seems to have paid off because certainly his teammate Javier Loveras is building an advantage, and quickly. Another lap goes on the boards. He was 4.7 seconds to the good last time around, 5.1 seconds. Not gaining just a tenth here or there, nearly half a second. Let's face it, Timothy Beret in second place. He's got his mirrors full because Timon Nabur half a second down in 3rd place and pushing him hard. So providing nothing goes wrong, NM Racing Team with the silvery grey gunmetal, I suppose you could call it, and red Mercedes pulling clear with every lap at the moment. So they'll be enjoying this race enormously. Timothy Beret cannot relax for a nanosecond because that Camaro in behind delivered performance a different way. So as they stand at the moment, Valentin Hadclo is on a Tio Nue, 182 points, and that is 26 points ahead of Gael Castelli and Stefan Lemeray. If they stay like that, they will win the championship regardless of if they score any points in the next race, and Castelli and Lemeray win. There's 25 points up for grabs in race number 2. There are 26 points between them, so Lemeray can do no more. And he needs his teammate to really, Gael Castelli, to really gain a position. The BMW is running between them. Yagi's getting. Castelli has got to try and pick that off because he's got to catch Hasclo. He's got to get ahead of him to keep this championship open to the final race of the final round here this afternoon at Paul Ricard. Tiemann Nabour, young Dutch racer, looking very interested indeed in taking second place. Every move, though, being covered by Timothée Beret. All along, this is great news for our race leader, Javier Oliveras. As they fight over second place, he's pulling ever further clear at the front of the field. He's taking less life out of his tyres. He can put his car where he wants. And now you can see Timothée Beret is having to be as light on his toes as he possibly can, but certainly having to work that Toyota Supra very hard indeed as the Camaro keeps on pushing. And as those cars come to the penultimate corner and the final corner, the rumble of the Camaro, just such a wonderful soundtrack to the battle. You can hardly hear the Toyota by comparison. Gap between them was 0.5 of a second last time, down to 0.3 of a second this time, but the gap to the leader, to Javier Oliveras, has gone out to just under 6 seconds. Here comes the move. Doesn't look as though it's going to work, or is it? Down into turn one, side by side, but did they rub? Well, certainly the Toyota got rubbed off the circuit, but I think had the position been gained like that, it might have to have been handed back. So Tiemann Nabour has to think again. Side-by-side contact into turn one, pushing the Toyota off, and in fact it bought him a little bit of space over the chasing Tiemann Nabour. Let's have a look. The Camaro comes down to turn one, dives up the inside, and the outside line is not a comfortable place, but if you can brave it out, you'll be on the right line for the second corner, but the second corner was never reached by the Toyota Supra. Side by side, was there contact? There may well have been, but the Toyota took evasive action, rejoined the circuit, very cleverly finding a little escape road to go up and rejoin the circuit. Now, a driver who'll certainly be making moves, car number 87, now in the hands of Jim Pla. It's the Mercedes tucked in behind Yagi's Geddick. In fact, because he's behind Geddick, it means that Gael Castelli has managed to move ahead of the BMW up into sixth place. Jim Pla could have a role to play in this race. He's got 18.5 minutes to make his way forward. But he's not in a championship battle, only joined the championship this weekend with Jean-Luc Bobelic, his long-time teammate. And the French Mercedes star is just going to go as high as he can in this race. He's not in the championship mix, but he could have a role to play if he can get up ahead of Valentin Hasclo. I'd expect an attack at the inside when they get to the corner after Susin. They go up to Beausset. Will the Mercedes dive down the inside? Inside is not offered, but he looks like he's got the performance to do it on the exit of this two-part corner. As predicted, Jim Pla's got the skill. Round he goes. That moves him up into 7th place. Now, the interesting bit is when he gets up with the two drivers fighting over the championship. Gael Castelli, the number 8 CMR Toyota, will be his next target, just at the front of the shot there. And then another car up the track. Valentin Hasclo, championship leader, is running in 5th. He will be the next one that Jim Pla will be looking to pick off. .8 seconds between Javier Oliveras and Timothée Beret at the lead of the race. Another 0.3 of a second back to the recovering Tiemann Nabour. Trying to recover ground, that is Timothée Beret, after the little clash down between turns 1 and 2 last time around. Just taking a look at the pace of Jim Pla, even including overtaking, he's lapping within a second of the race leader. So he's got the pace to get up towards... Will he be able to catch Kenneth Heyer? I think in 4th place will be his ultimate target. Because the first 3 are a dozen seconds and more clear of those behind. So, driver classification, Bastian Boos in the Pro-Am Cup, 215 points with Jan Kasperlik, Cemboluk Bazi, Yannick Geddick, ahead of them on the track, behind on the points table by 23 points. So that battle will still go to the final race this afternoon if they finish in this order. Top Pro-Am car is now Jim Pla. Yagi's Geddick has just been dropped a position. That will certainly help the championship chasers. Yeah, Bastian Boos putting in decent times. He's trying to regain ground, but he's some distance down the field in 4th in the Pro-Am class. So for the Dane, it's been a great season, but Paul Ricard so far not being too sweet. Kenneth Hire being challenged, being pushed to second half of Mistral Straight, just gets the SRT number 31 Mercedes in 4th place over the nose of Valentin Hasclaux. Valentin cannot afford a mistake at this point, but he's desperate to put another car between himself and the chasing Gael Castelli. Prepared to take the risks, and in fact a very decent driving there from Kenneth Hire. He's not in the championship battle, moves out of the way, but that's almost a championship winning overtake from Valentin Hasclaux. While they're having this battle, I think fairly soon coming into their mirrors will be a driver who is fastest of all on the circuit, Jim Pla, up into 7th. He's just putting in the fastest lap of the race at the moment. He's going to be catching up with Gael Castelli, so it's even more bad news for the championship challenger. Not only is Valentin Hasclaux escaping from him, but that's his championship rival, but he's about to have someone else pick him off. In fact, Pla has already made that manoeuvre. Thought I spotted it at the back of the screen. Oh gosh, fastest lap of the race as well for Pla. He has now got 3.5 seconds to catch Kenneth Hire. At this rate, he'll certainly manage that very soon indeed. V8 Racing going better and better, having passed Timothy Buret, Timon Nabour, sliding his car, now starting to really pick his way off. But he's 6 3/4 seconds down on the race leader, 6.6 seconds down on race leader Javi Loveras. Hasn't got the pace to catch him, has got the pace, we think, to drop Timothy Buret's Toyota. He caught him, he passed him, and now definitely pulling away. And even as they're turning into the chicane, exiting the chicane, already accelerating hard up the second part of the Mistral Straight, goes the race-leading NMR Racing team Mercedes. Javi Loveras, great job. So, as it stands, with these positions, with Valentin Hasclaux up into 4th place overall, 184 points will be their tally if they finish in that position, and that will put him 28 points and his teammate 28 points ahead of Gael Castelli and Stefan Leberay. The championship will be theirs in the silver class if they stay as they are. Just looking for the time gap between Valentin Hasclaux and Gael Castelli, and we're talking getting on towards between 4.5 and 5 seconds. It's growing all the time. So for Hasclaux, with just under a quarter of an hour to go, it's been a really, really fruitful second half to this race. All looking clean and tidy at the front of the field. Another lap on the board. That's 20 laps recorded by our race leader, Javi Loveras, NM Racing Team Mercedes. Background of the shot, Timon Nabour chasing, in fact closing on that lap. Gained 9/10 of a second, so the Camaro coming on strong, but he's going to do well to catch the race leader and pass the race leader with just the final 13 minutes of this race. Catching and passing, though, that's what Jim Pla does for fun. He's up to 6th place, just tucked in behind the yellow and black Mercedes of Kenneth Hire. Not in the same class. The Hire car is running in the Silver Cup class, and Jim Pla in the Pro-Am, leading Pro-Am runner, but he fancies 5th place. He doesn't really think about the points. He's looking for position on the circuit. Pla rumbles alongside, down the hill they go, through the corner, beautifully done. That downhill chicane, bottom of the hill, next corner Sandboom, and then you start positioning your car. Here's Sandboom now to accelerate as hard as you can through the kink at L'École onto the Mistral Straight. Timon Nabour is really dropping Timothy Buret, having got past the CMR Toyota, number 66, and the 17 V8 Racing Camaro rumbles away up the Mistral Straight. Lapping faster in the first sector, faster in the second sector, and the race leader has Javi Loveras got this race under control. He's 5.7 seconds clear, but that gap is coming down all the time. The Camaro seems to be better and better on its tyres in the second half of each of these stints. As I mentioned, the Camaro's best result so far, it's had several podiums. Their best result is a 2nd place. Here's the moves that where 2nd place went into the hands of the V8 Racing Camaro. Just a mistake going out of Beausset and very gratefully received. It was a sort of three-part manoeuvre for the V8 Racing Camaro to get by. Had to work very hard indeed to get into that position, but just tried to defend from the Camaro. Just a little bit of a mistake from Timothy Beret, and he's just not able to live with the pace of the Camaro. The Camaro closing in on our race leader. They were all in the same shot down the start-finish straight. 4.6 seconds now. Timo Nebor gained a second on that lap. 0.1 seconds actually. Can he do it? 10 3/4 minutes remaining. Nebor's got the hammer down, making that fabulous rumbling sound. And Nebor, you know, another young racer, only 23, second in the Supercar Challenge last season, his first serious season of racing. So he's really learning very, very quickly indeed, the young Dutchman. And Kenneth High has just lost another position, so better news for Gael Castelli, still trying to keep his championship hope alive, but he's not only got to get a lot closer to the 27 Aston Martin. Valentin Haas-Clos has got a buffer as well between them. He's got Jim Pla, but Jim Pla, Acker ASP Mercedes, number 87, doesn't fancy staying behind. He's going to get right onto the tail of Valentin Haas-Clos and go past. So Valentin's got to make a decision. Do I fight hard to resist someone I'm not fighting against, to keep him as a buffer, or not? There's the question. Pla getting closer and closer. The gold and black Mercedes catching the Aston Martin number 27. Then Gael Castelli not out of this yet. Kenneth High couldn't hang on. He's had to drop back a position. Not sure for how much longer Jim Pla is going to be a problem for Valentin Haas-Clos. He started the lap 2 seconds down, and he's already gained a third of a second in the first part of the lap. He's closing in on the championship leading Aston Martin. Won't be this lap, may not be the next, but the one after could be right with him. Oh, big wide moment there from Kenneth High. Salazar Racing Team Mercedes, car number 31. Certainly he can't hold on to Gael Castelli, who passed him earlier in the lap and really already put about 1.5 seconds between the pair of them. Another lap, 22 on the board. And Javi Loveras didn't lose too much that lap, just a tenth of a second in the race lead to Timo Nebor, who's 4.4 seconds down in second place. Third place, Timothy Beret, another 3.6 seconds down. And then comes this battle, fourth and fifth. Valentin Haas-Clos, who's 2.2 seconds clear of the chasing Jim Pla at the start of the lap, just 0.68 of a second between them. So I thought it might be the lap after this. It could be this lap that Jim Pla makes a move to see if he can go up into fourth place overall. By far the leading runner in the Pro-Am class. Jim Pla pushing very, very hard indeed. Jean-Luc Beaubelic will be enjoying this battle as he looks on from the pit garage on this sunny November day. In fact, I'm starting to sense a few more clouds forming in the sky. I know there's a bit of shadow on the circuit from the trees, but anyhow, come on, mate, it's nice to see sun at this time of the year. Track conditions still cool though, not offering a lot of tyre. Temperatures not offering a lot of grip. Jim Pla's found some grip. He's continuing to set the fastest laps of this race. Almost alongside on the first half of the Mistral Straight. Not quite enough. No, apparently it is quite enough to go up towards the chicane. And there's no point. That was Valentin Haas-Clos being very sensible. Didn't want to lose the position, but didn't want to get himself onto the outside line and risk a spin when the championship is within his hands. The cars stay as they are. The 2020 GT4 European Series overall title for the Silver Cup drivers, the top-ranked drivers, will be his, along with his teammate Thio Nue. No point taking a risk. And the gap back to the chasing Gael Castelli has gone out to over 5 seconds. So with under 7 minutes remaining until the checkered flag could be unfurled, he should just stay exactly where he is. Again, Jim Pla really starting to wind it up, looking very, very poised and balanced. Yeah, gets that Mercedes to turn in on a dime. through Tours, the penultimate corner, then over the very tricky final corner, Virage du Pont. So many drivers get sucked into going too wide on the exit of the corner over those rumble strips and beyond. And there's not a lot of beyond, to be frank. So Jim Pla up into 4th place, should rise no further because he's 13 seconds down on Timotei Beret in 3rd. But our race leader, Javi Loveras, now only 3.8 seconds to good, 0.6 of a second gained by the chasing V8 Racing Camaro, but surely with 6 minutes left to go, that's enough of an advantage for NM Racing Team to take their 3rd win this 2020 campaign. Background of the shot, sweeping through L'École onto the Mistral Straight on the run, the blast up to that chicane. It looks very evenly balanced between the pair of them. I may sense that perhaps the charge is coming to an end for V8 Racing. It's been a really good front run from Team Nebur, but maybe now the tyres are starting to say, you took a lot out of me, starting not to be able to offer you what you were looking for. And in terms of pace at this late stage in the race, it's all in the hands of Jim Pla. Yet another fastest lap last time around. He's gaining little by little, half a second here, a second there over the driver in 3rd place. But Timotei Beret seems safe in 3rd in the number 66 CMR Toyota Supra. Leading car in the AM class, haven't talked about that too much, is AGS Events Nicola Gomar. So it could be a great result for them because that's in 9th place overall, well clear of the next car, which is Autolando Sports AM Challenger down in 14th place, so 5 places further up. AGS Events could land the overall title this morning in this race, and in the AM class it looks as though it will be a similar story because only Bob Herber could challenge Gomar and Vanelay, and Herber isn't here this weekend, so it could be a double title celebration for AGS Events, then lunch, then a final race of the championship to celebrate at the close of play this afternoon. In fact, as I say that, Jim Pla, fastest of all in the first section of the race, and AGS Events Nicola Gomar, mention his name, he pops up the fastest middle sector of anybody. He's down in 9th overall, leading the AM class, and really enjoying these closing laps in the second of the AGS Event Aston Martins. That's car number 89. Clock continues to count down. 3.5 minutes remain. Race leader Javier Loveras clear by 3.5 seconds over Team Nebur. It seems to have stabilised. But our championship leader in the AM class, Nicola Gomar, in fact, he may be able to gain another position. He's catching up to Yagis Gedding. In fact, he took 2.5 seconds out of him last time around. That lap, including his fastest lap of the race, including that brilliant middle sector. So Nicola Gomar really winding it up as his season is winding down, and the AM title in his pocket now, sharing that with Vanelay. So be very clean and tidy. Scene still such a fabulous corner, so much space to run out wide, and doing enough, being nice and neat and tidy there through Scene. The gap was 3.5 seconds, the race leader's advantage over Team Nebur at the start of the lap. Comparing their sector times, Nebur gained in the middle sector up the Mistral Straight, but the clock is the friend of the race leader. NM Racing Team's Javier Loveras. He was confident before the start of the race. They started on the outside of the front row. Luke Ibanez did a great job in the hustle and bustle of the opening lap. Got up to 3rd, back to 2nd. And then, by dint of pushing hard before the pit stop, pitting ahead of the Toyota Supra onto what will be the final lap of the race, shortly with just under 2 minutes remaining. The lap, no, it's that plus one further lap, of course. Tire debris on the circuit. The gap has come down. 2.4 seconds is the margin now, 1st to 2nd. Team Nebur very nearly his best lap of the race, whereas that last lap was cautious from Joveras. He was a second, 1.25 seconds down on his best lap of the race. He's stroking it home, but he can't afford to rest too much. Now he's picking up the pace again, clattering the curves. Right, Pro-Am Cup, Bastian Buus, Jan Kasperlik. well, they will be 23 points clear of Bolokbazi and Yannick, so it won't be sorted if they stay as they are in this race. Boost can't do anything about it. He's running around in 13th place, and for Yannick, their car is leading Prime Class in 8th overall, but that will at least go to this afternoon's finale. Checking, he's been seen. Race leader Javier Oliveras just being a little bit cautious, would have lost a little bit around the final lap of the race. Team in the ball would have closed in a little bit as the back marker slightly obscured our race leader, but this definitely now defined as the final lap of the race. Pla continues to catch all of them, but he's another 10 seconds down on third place. Bourret holds third place in his 66 Toyota Supra from CMR Team Endebor. He's closing, he's catching, he's got to get past that R Motorsport Aston Martin, does so easily, but with only 4 more corners to go after this one, after Beausset. The race win surely in the pocket of this driver, Javier Oliveras, the light flashing on his screen, 001, and that is the leader's position. Mercedes AMG model rumbling away into the final sequence of corners. An hour has been completed and just 2 corners to go, and the win will be theirs. Car number 15, started by Luc Ibanez, finished by Javier Oliveras. The gap may come down to under 2 seconds, it matters not. It's a 3rd win of the campaign for the NM Racing team with their number 15 Mercedes. Team in the ball, 2.0 seconds down after a great little run the second half of the race in the V8 Racing Camaro. And 3rd place in the background of the shot, Timothée Bourret, another 6 seconds down in 3rd place. But the title will be, as Jim Pla crosses the finish line in 4th place, another super quick lap, fastest lap of the race. But the title, with 1 race to spare, goes to Valentin Hasclo and Thierry Nouet. 5th place was enough for them. So cautious, careful, collected, but what they needed to do was stay ahead of the number 8 Supra. That has just finished the race in the hands of Gael Castelli. It was always going to be a problem for Gael Castelli and Stefan Lemeray to take the title, but they gave it a shot in the first part of the race, but particularly in the hands of Valentin Hasclo, the pace was too strong for them, and the number 27 Aston Martin has popped that one in the bag, the 2020 title. Leading car in Pram at the finish was of course Jim Pla in 4th place overall. Yagis Gedik coming 2nd in class, down in 8th. 3rd place in class, Eric Tremolay in 9th. Top AM runner Nicolas Gobar for AGS Events, just passed right at the end of the race. But for Bastien Bous, leader in the Pro-Am class, some more points, but that title still to be decided this afternoon's race. So in the Pro-Am Cup, Bastien Bous and Jan Kaspelik, just seeing their points flashing up there. But the winner in race 1, NM Racing team, Luc Ibanez, who started, and Javier Oliveras, who brought it home. That's their 3rd win in the 2020 championship. Drivers can afford to wave to the marshals as they go up the Mistral Straight through the chicane and come round to complete their lap. Lights ablaze for Javier Oliveras there, picking up some debris, kicking out the dust as he lets those who finish behind him get to the pits again before him. He's just celebrating what was a 3rd win that he shared with Luc Ibanez. Good to see our Motorsport bringing a couple of Aston Martin advantages here today. 16th place overall to Henrik Lyngby Pedersen, and the better placed car, George Campbell, showing with Seb Perez coming home in 12th place overall. That's almost every driver getting past our race winner, who is just celebrating the moment, that moment of contemplation, of satisfaction as you cruise home, having seen the checkered flag in 1st position. So there is the results table. Just 2 seconds to the good, it mattered not. It had been a 6-second lead. Luc Ibanez, Javier Oliveras, 3rd win of their 2020 championship for NM Racing Team. Europanga Team in Napur, 2nd for the V8 Racing Camaro crew. And Antoine Potti and Timothée Bourret, car started on pole, 3rd position, still great for them. Winning car in Pro-Am, Jim Pla and Jean-Luc Beaubelic, far clear of the best of the rest, down in 8th. They finished 4th. Thierry Nouet and Valentin Hasclo wouldn't normally be happy with 5th place, but today they were, because that not only has given them useful Challenger Championship points, it's given them the title ahead of Gael Castelli and Stefan Lemeray. So just the second of the Borisan Automotive BMWs not getting to the finish. They'll go out to play again this afternoon when the driver who started second today will be the first driver on the grid. Let's take a look at the championship classifications. There are only 25 more points to play for, and with 26-point advantage, that means the overall title, the Silver Cup, goes to Valentin Hasclo and Theo Nue after a great season for them for AGS events with their Aston Martin, and not quite yet safe in second place overall. Castelli and Lemeray, Joveras can still topple them if he picks up another win, but right now Joveras just focused on getting out of the car. Luke Ibanez there with the Pirelli winner's cap to greet him, and another job very well done by the Spanish duo. So fist bump, shake of hands, everybody suitably socially distanced and masked. Of course, these are the conditions under which we go racing, but racing we go, and that's always a great moment for those of us who live and breathe for motor racing. Shirt sleeve conditions here for some in the pit lane, but it's still a relatively cool, but it's a sunny day in November, but certainly the temperature for the NM Racing team is bubbling away nicely. Timothée Beret getting out of the 66. CMR Toyota that finished in at third place. Timo Nebor, who's already clambered out the far side by the pit garages. The car that finished in second, the V8 Racing Camaro, number 17. Just 2 seconds down at the end after a great chase. And it might have finished fifth, but the championship now in the bag for the number 27 Aston Martin crew. Theo Nue going around to greet his teammate Valentin Hasclo. A wave of the hand. Out steps Valentin, the V on the side of his helmet. Big hug, big title. 2020 GT4 European champions. So great satisfaction for the championship duo, and for them, they can enjoy this afternoon's race. They've got the title in the bag, and it was a tactical race. It was cat and mouse. They just needed to know where the number 8 Toyota was, the CMR Supra, started by Stefan Lemeray and Gael Castelli ahead of them on the grid. But look at the smile on Valentin's face. Knew what he wanted to do, but let's catch up with some happy people down in the pit lane with Gemma.
Xavier, Luca, congratulations, a fantastic race. Xavier, you were very confident coming into that.
Yeah, I was really confident that our second stint would be really good, but actually it wasn't. We gained the first position in the pit stop, but then I had no pace at all, and the Camaro was coming, and it was tough in the end.
And it was tough to watch that second part, I imagine.
Yeah, it was difficult because the Camaro is going really fast, but he have the pace, the gap, and we finished P1 thanks to him. And the first stint was difficult, but the same, we have a really good pit stop and led with P1.
Absolutely, congratulations, well done.
Thank you.
So very well done there from Luke Ibanez and Javier Lloveras. Interesting to hear that Javier was hanging on at the end, but 2 seconds in the end, just enough for him to take victory. But certainly Timo Nebor was on the charge for V8 Racing. Third win of the 2020 campaign for the Spanish team. Been a little bit up and down, but when they're good, they're very good indeed. That's 3 wins at 3 circuits, which makes it extra special for them. This is only the 6th round of the championship. 6 different circuits, but this is the conclusion. And the GT4 runners, let's go down, because we know the identity of the championship winners. They clinched it with 5th place overall. Valentin Hasclo and Theo Nue.
Congratulations, the emotion is very clear. Both of you look delighted.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been a great season for us. Every race we had a good car. Theo did a good job, and yeah, I'm just delighted. I would like to thank everyone supporting us, because we had a pretty good support this year. The team, Estent, and yeah, we are pretty happy.
Theo, you had tears in your eyes.
Yeah, thank you so much for everyone. I mean, everyone did an amazing job. The car was amazing every race, and thank you to Valentin. This year he was.
But plenty to play for. But it's been a fabulous championship, plenty of variety through the course of the year. We've kept it going, ready for a full attack again in 2021. GT4 European Series really has been a great supporter for the GT3 crews in the GT World Challenge. Teams, drivers, all and engineers graduating their way upwards, which is exactly how it should be. So with the flags fluttering over the pit lane, let's take a look at the start of the race, and the championship rivals were running in 6th and 7th position. There's a little bit of contact as the Aston Martin got onto the tail of the Toyota Supra on the run down towards the first corner. The leading Toyota Supra, Antoine Potti at the wheel, had it all under control, challenged by the V8 Racing Camaro. The NM Racing Mercedes went back into 3rd place, but the championship challengers nose to tail in 6th and 7th positions there. 2 Mercedes running off the track in front of them, that afforded them track position. But then it was Nue and Lemeray fighting hammer and tongs against each other with cameo roles as Esteban Muth broke up their battle. The BMW went past as well. The Aston Martin and the Toyota Supra fighting for the championship, not for the lead in this race, just simply for track positions. The pendulum swung one way for Lemeray and then back the other for Nue. Into the pit lane came Nue. Valentin Hasclaux took over the 27 Aston Martin and rejoined in front of Gael Castelli, who'd already pitted a lap or so earlier. So the championship battle was clear in one direction. Another little battle was the fabulous scrap between Timothée Bouret and Timon Nebor the second half of the race. It got a little bit physical at times, but eventually you could see the handling was going away for the Toyota Supra. So around the outside and making it stick went Timon Nebor, but for our race leader Javier Loveras, he was able to get it to the finish, just 2 seconds clear in the end from Timon Nebor for V8 Racing. So NM Racing team taking their 3rd win of their 2020 campaign. But it was the car in 5th place across the finish line, the 27 Aston Martin, that took the overall title. And then the emotions came flooding out for Valentin Hasclaux and particularly for Thio Nue. Out onto the podium in 3rd place overall, Timothée Bouret sharing the 66 CMR Supra with Antoine Potti. They take their trophies and move to the side. Face masks on in the 2020 style. 2nd place, up they come, Yorapang and Timon Nebor. They've already had a good season, so that's their equal best results. And then waiting for the 2 drivers who won the race, Luc Ibanez and Javier Loveras. Here they come, the Spanish duo for NM Racing team. They take the largest trophies, as you would if you've just won the race. Fist bumps and up onto the top step of the podium, keeping their distance, of course. So they would have enjoyed their victory, and the pair of drivers not joining them on the podium are the overall champions. 5th place for Valentin Hasclaux and Thio Nue.
Just a quick official photograph, and congratulations to our Silver Cup Championship race winners.
So great happiness as the national anthems were played for our Silver Cup finishers, the top 3 finishers. In fact, they're only just 1 position ahead of 4th place, which was the top Pro-Am crew, Jim Pla and Jean-Luc Bobelic. Just waiting for the continuation of the podium ceremonies. The top car finishing in the AM class was Nicola Gomar, car number 89, his Aston Martin. So great day for AGS events. So Team Geoffroy joining the championship this weekend, 3rd in the Pro-Am class with them. Eric Tremolet, Olivier Geoffroy. And then Chembolok Bazi and Yagis Gedik. They finished 8th overall versus Chevrolet and Jouffry's 9th. But it was 4th place that led to victory for Jim Pla and Jean-Luc Bobelic, who should be the next drivers up on the podium in the Pro-Am class. With the fastest lap of the race going to Jim Pla. There's Jim on the right-hand side of the shot. And more trophies for this duo from Acker ASP. Jean-Luc Bobelic, a driver who really races with a smile on his face, and Jim Pla does a lot of the spade work there. So great duo for Acker ASP. 4th overall, winning the Pro-Am class.
Congratulations once again to all of our race winners there in the Pro-Am Cup Championship.
Trophies in the sunshine, and those are our Pro-Am top 3. And now to complete the podium ceremony, we will welcome the top 3 finishers in the AM class. There we are, Jean-Luc Bobelic. Trust me, behind that mask, there was a massive smile. So 3rd place in the AM class. AGS Events, that team again, overall champions in the bag. But Jonathan Marichal on his debut in the championship, and Fabien Baulet, 2nd place in class, goes to Autolando Sport. Car number 76, that's Andreas Mahler and Giuseppe Jetsi. But our winners in the AM class, also from AGS Events, 9th place overall, Nicola Gomar up on to the top step, and Gilles Vanelay. There they are. They already had the AM title in the bag before this meeting, and that's just been the icing on the cake for them. So our championship winners up on the top step of the podium in the AM class. Great job for Gilles Vanelay and Nicolas Gomar. So that concludes our morning's racing at Paul Ricard. And after the lunch break, we will be back. The next cars out on the track will be the GT World Challenge for 90 minutes of pre-qualifying practice. But we haven't finished here yet, because we're going to hear from the AM winners from AGS Events. What an event from them. Nicolas Gomar and Gilles Vanelay. We'll hear from them shortly. Perfect conditions for them. They took the class win. And it's been a very, very tidy day for the French team for AGS Events with their Aston Martins here at Circuit Paul Ricard. The weather warming up, but it's still the middle of November, so we don't go very high in temperature. But for those drivers after an hour of racing, they'll be cool, calm and collected. But it was warm. But let's hear from Gilles Vanelay, who is our AM champion for AGS Events.
Gilles, you are AM Cup champion, and a fantastic result there in that race as well. Clearly very, very happy.
Yes, of course, amazing season, first season GT4 European Championship. And with Nicolas, we're racing together last race, last championship with Lamborghini. And we are very complete teammate, same psychology, same driving, and we are very, very happy to be there.
Fantastic, Nicolas. Thank you for joining us.
Je vais parler en français parce que mon anglais est très perfectible. Je suis très content pour notre première saison en Aston Martin. Après avoir gagné en Porsche en France et après avoir gagné en Lamborghini en Europe, je suis très content de la confiance que nous a donné Aston Martin et de remporter dès la première année les championnats dans lesquels on est engagé en AM et en Silver et au Général. C'est juste une très très belle histoire, mais c'est le fruit de beaucoup de travail et de la confiance que nous accordent nos partenaires et nos pilotes. J'espère qu'on est déjà projeté sur l'année prochaine, même s'il nous reste encore une course à faire, mais je voulais remercier toute l'équipe technique et de développement, Aston Martin Racing qui nous a accompagnés dans ce projet, et bien évidemment tous les pilotes, parce qu'au final c'est quand même eux qui tournent le volant, et je voulais remercier tout le monde. Voilà. Et je voulais aussi remercier SRO qui, en ces moments difficiles de Covid et d'environnement un petit peu morose, a tout mis en œuvre pour pouvoir nous proposer de magnifiques championnats. Les projets pour 2021 semblent être fantastiques. Bravo à Stéphane et à toute son équipe.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
Félicitations.
Merci.
Very happy there to
Well,
be
really
part of
good
the
to hear
winning
that.
championship team, of course.
Okay.
Really good to hear there from Nicola Gomar, the man who makes AGS events happen. It's his team, and they moved across from racing Porsches last year. He's also raced in Lamborghinis, but he's loved moving into the Aston Martin racing world, and they've really made it stick. So they take the AM title, they take the overall title, and they race with a smile on their faces. One more race to come to complete the end of the 2020 GT4 European Series.